Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me. In this practice tip video, I just want to talk about internal and external rotation. They can be kind of confusing concepts and it's hard to know which is which and when to do it and how to do it and all that good stuff. And are we talking about muscles? Are we talking about bones? What exactly are we talking about? So just in case this is something that comes up in your practice or in your classes, I hope that you find this helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch back to the mat. So internal and external rotation, they relate to our midline, okay? And usually we're talking about how to engage the muscles and how they influence the bones, okay? So center line of the body, all right? Internal rotation just means we're turning things in toward the midline. External rotation means we're turning it away from the midline. And where our muscles are impacting the bones, and I really think about both, okay? So I'm referencing muscles probably more than I'm thinking about what exactly the bones are doing, okay? But one is impacting the other. Another point with this is that whatever's occurring in the top half, the opposite will be occurring in the bottom half, so that we keep a nice seamless channel open from joint to joint to joint, okay? So if I am externally rotating both, okay, it's going to turn the entire arm, hand, away from the midline, okay? If I'm internally rotating both, I'm turning both in toward the midline, okay? And because I want to keep a seamless channel open, then whatever the top half does is the opposite from the bottom half, and then I've got a nice stable channel, okay? And hopefully one that I can only enhance the space in the joints. And so that occurs with the arms, it occurs with the legs, as far as whatever the bottom half and the top half are doing opposite things, and it's subtle. It's not usually a very dramatic sensation, but the sensation is one of feeling like creating space, not limiting. So we've got how they relate to the midline, that they're doing opposite things, and that it's subtle, okay? I can't think of any exceptions. Probably somebody out there knows some, but when the arms are in front, okay, up above, out to the sides, the top half of the arm, okay, the muscles are assisting the bone to externally rotate. The lower half of the arm is in an internal rotation, okay? If the arms are behind, the opposite is true, okay? The upper half is in an internal rotation. The bottom half is in an external rotation. And it's just the emphasis, okay? The influence, all right? And if this usually comes up when the arms are back behind. If somebody's not organized correctly, then the channel isn't open here at the shoulder joint, and their arms will have a tendency to go numb, okay? So if you can remember to internally rotate the top half, externally rotate the bottom, okay, the channel will be clear, whether or not you have your hands interlaced or a strap between your hands, okay? But remembering those subtleties might be helpful. It also might get in the way of you really being able to enjoy your practice. So don't let this hinder you in any way. Look for space, look for clear, nice open feeling between the joints, engagement in the muscles. You'll be a-okay, okay? So same thing is true as far as with the legs. Top half, bottom half, subtly doing opposite things, okay? Usually, when we're talking about the legs being in a neutral position, center lines parallel, the top half is in an internal rotation, the bottom half is in a slight external rotation. When we're doing things like hip openers, okay, warrior two, triangle pose, half moon, all those kind of hip opener types of poses, then the top half is in an external rotation and the bottom half is stabilizing it in an internal rotation, okay? So again, do not let this hinder you. Don't let it get overly technical. This is just If it happens to be helpful, if it's an easy, quick reference, okay, that enhances your practice, great. All that it means, internal and external rotation, is how they relate to the midline. And I think the other key thing to remember is that they're doing subtly but opposite things to keep the stability in your pose, okay, and yet to keep intention in your pose. So I hope that this is helpful and that you have a wonderful day. I'd love to hear from you. Namaste.